Hello, I'm Dougie Brimson and welcome to Madder Maxx. This is what we've got coming up for you this week. Now we've covered some big race meetings here on Madder Maxx, but when someone rings you up and tells you he's got 400 cars booked in, it's got to be worth looking at. Welcome to Autograss Racing. Autograss is one of the most popular forms of grassroots motorsport in the country, with over 50 clubs affiliated to the governing body, the National Autograss Sports Association. The sport evolved from a form of racing popular in the 1970s called jalopy. The meetings are staged in unused fields, the track is oval in shape and the surface is made up of either grass or mud. I'm with Class 10 racer Dean Forward. Dean, how did you get into Autograss?
I used to do the circuits with karting, and a friend of mine introduced me to Autograss, let me have a go with his car on the Sunday, and on the Monday I bought one.
What are the techniques for actually racing?
Well, it all depends on what they've done with the track. They can change the track from heat to heat. As you've probably seen, they water the track every now and again, and that makes it very, very tricky. When it's dry, it's nice to be smooth, use all the grip, but when it's wet, it becomes a bit of a handful.
Obviously, one of the most important aspects is safety, and certainly with cars racing, open wheel cars like this one, the accidents when they come must be quite spectacular. How safe is it as a sport?
We all have to build the cars to a stringent book of rules. The cars are very safe, they're built with safety in mind, so serious accidents are very rare.
And obviously all the safety precautions are in place at all official meetings anyway?
Oh yeah, we have doctors and ambulances. The racing won't go ahead unless the ambulances are there.
Now your car is an amazing little beast, so can you show us all the different aspects of it from front to back, please?
Yeah, sure. The front end's independent suspension on double wishbones with a standard shock absorber in a standard place. The front end sometimes doesn't do that great, doesn't do a lot, especially when the power's down.
Because it's not touching the ground?
That's right, yeah.
And it's got quite an amazing lock.
That's full lock, and sometimes it's still not enough.
Now, the most important thing about this car, as far as I'm concerned, from a technical point of view, are the two things you've got at the back. Can you explain what they are?
Yeah, sure. What we've got in the back, we've got two Yamaha Thunder Ace engines, 1000cc each, geared up through a Jeff Braceforth drive box, going out of a single output shaft.
And how much brake horsepower are they putting out?
This is probably 280 brake horsepower, something along that region.
And what kind of speeds will you hit on the straights?
The geared down, we'll probably hit about 90, 100 miles an hour in the straight, but we only use second and third gear.
And suspension on the back?
Yeah, I use shock absorbers through a trailing arm to get decent weight transfer.
And the other thing, of course, is the exhaust, which is quite a complex beast. Is that specially tuned?
Yeah, that's specially tuned lens, tailor-made to fit the car.
Well, we're here at your big meeting of the year this weekend, so obviously it's quite hectic for you. How's it gone so far?
So far we're doing all right. We had a win in the first heat. The second heat we've just had a third. We've got one more heat and then the final. If we have a good third heat, then hopefully we'll be in the final.
Well, we'll let you get on and get this thing ready, and we'll nip back and see how you do later on.
Thanks very much.
Well, let's see some of these Autograsses in action. Right, let's meet the winner of that last race, who just happens to be the bloke we spoke to earlier. Dean, that didn't look too rough, mate.
That was all right, yeah. Third heat, good win, now we're in the final. It's all on this next race.
You had a very, very strong start.
Yeah, it's one of the beauties of this car. It transfers the weight real quick and comes out of the gate. But having only 5 laps to do it in, you've got to get to that first corner or be able to challenge in that first corner. Otherwise, the race is over.
And it's all about getting the power down as you're coming out as well.
Yeah. If you heard, I'll feather in the throttle because it's starting to get a little bit slippy. Get the power down and we can do it, yeah.
As you probably noticed, in common with most of the people we talk to on Madder Maxx, Dean is a really nice guy who loves his sport with a passion. He also happens to be very, very good at it, which helps. But one final point, this is a supercharged V8, and Dean's car is a twin 1000cc bike engine screaming beast. They race together. Now, if you need me to explain to you why Dean races in Class 10 Autograss, you're watching the wrong programme.
Jet skiing isn't always about racing. There's room for loads of fun on them, and these guys take it to the limit. It's called freestyle. Now, we've all all seen Kevin Costner's Waterworld, and I've always wondered whether those watery stunts were real or a bit of a fishy tale of computer effects. If you're completely unaware of what goes on at jet ski competitions, then you're not alone. Jet ski freestylers compete in the stand-up category. Each competitor has 2 minutes to execute a choreographed sequence of mad manoeuvres, including tail stands, aerial somersaults, Superman moves, and pirouettes. Points are awarded by judges for technical complexity and style. Let's see if these freestylers can impress the judges on the water. Now don't be fooled into thinking names like Monkey Jump, Saturday Night Squirt, and Kamikaze Submarine are easy tasks. These are physically torturous moves that require an athletic prowess and technique that takes years of practice to perfect. Jet skis may look stable and user-friendly, but staying aboard the device is a challenge. Well, I've had a wonderful day, and these guys are really talented professionals. And who knows, with a little practice, we might be seeing you there next time.
Of all the various forms of motorsport we'll be covering here on Madder Maxx, none of them will come close to the drama and spectacle of drag racing. So we've come to Santa Pod today to have a look at the different classes and find out a bit more about what the sport is all about. Just in case you don't know the rules, drag racers race on a straight quarter-mile track. Cars compete not only against each other, but also, since each run is timed, for the best time of the day. The fastest cars on the strip are the Top Fuel dragsters. Meet Barry Sheevels, Top Fuel drag racer and 1998 European Top Fuel champion. Barry, it's fair to say you are the most successful drag racer outside the States. Can you explain to us how you got into the sport?
Well, I came here to Santa Pod probably 20 odd years ago now, and a group of guys in Nottingham, we're all into hot cars and putting big engines in cars, and we all decided to come down and race here at Santa Pod with what you call a run what you brung. That's where you bring your street car down and you race each other against each other and get a time. So my car was a Ford Cortina GT and slightly tuned, and it was pretty quick, but it was good fun. And that particular day, the only Top Fuel dragster in Europe was here testing, and that was Commuter. And as soon as I heard the sound of the big V8 on nitro, I was hooked, and I realised that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to drive a Top Fuel car. And here we are, like 20 years on, and I'm driving the state-of-the-art Top Fuel car. It was built in the States. It's 6,000 horsepower, travels from 0 to 297 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds. And on the particular run, it will go from standstill to 118 miles an hour in 0.84 of a second. It's 30 foot long and it achieves that in 60 feet. So in twice its own length, it's getting up to over 100 miles an hour.
So you're not hanging about it?
No.
What's it like to physically experience something like that? I mean, because most people could never even begin to understand.
Well, it's a good question, and all I can say is there's nothing in normal life that you would ever compare to driving a Top Fuel dragster. When we hit the throttle, it's instant 4.5 to 5G. So basically, if you went to Alton Towers and got on every white knuckle ride at the same time, that's probably what it's going to feel like. You have to be so focused on what you're doing, because, you know, like if you hit the throttle and you pull 5G, if you're not ready for that, it'll take you by surprise, and, you know, I mean, it's serious horsepower.
Is it a bit of a adrenaline junkie fix?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
you know, I started, as I say, over 20 years ago in a street car. I've gone through all the classes of drag racing to the ultimate. And that's what it is. You're absolutely right. You're on an adrenaline fix. I'm addicted to doing this drag racing. Yeah.
Drag racing isn't just about the high speed and high cost of Top Fuel. It has strong numbers of followers who compete in all the lower classes. Meet drag racer Bob Doyne. What's the attraction of drag racing to you as a competitor?
Well, the thrill of speed. It's all in the speed, and I mean, you build a car, which I built all myself, you know, and just the mere fact of getting quicker and quicker, just the speed, the adrenaline and everything.
This is an absolutely beautiful car based obviously on an old Ford Pop, but can you give us a quick rundown on what class you're in and you know, how it's put together?
Yeah. Well, basically, I built the car myself. It's based on an old Ford Pop, but it's fiberglass body shell. It's a full tube chassis, running a big block Oldsmobile, 580 brake horsepower. American back axle. It runs, the quickest it's ever run is 9.8 on a quarter of a mile, but I run on Super Street, which is 10.90. I do it to save the engine, so it makes it a little bit cheaper to run. So basically, I back the car off to run 1090. We get to speeds of about 126 mile an hour in that, you know, in that class. It's fantastic. I mean, it's so competitive. It's down to your reaction time off the lights as well. You know, like you can lose a race just on your reactions, and you've got all these cars will run 10.90s, so it's won and lost on the start line.
Before we say goodbye to top fuel drag racing, let me give you a few facts and figures. Your average family saloon will go from 0 to 60 in maybe a little under 10 seconds. In those same 10 seconds, Barry Sheevels will go from 0 to almost 300 miles an hour and back to 0 again. Think about that the next time you're sitting at a set of traffic lights.